Some of the best paint jobs I've ever sprayed aren't because I've used really expensive materials. They're not because I had the best paint gun. They're because I got the masking right. In fact, the quality of a paint job often comes down to one simple thing: where your paint ends. Spraying is only the half. So today, I'm going to show you the 5 masking techniques that I use on almost every job I do. Master these, and your paint jobs will look cleaner, go faster, and if done right, you won't be able to tell you painted anything at all. Let's get into it. All you need is a blade and some masking tape. Simple as that. This one's really cool. The first technique that I want to talk about is back masking. That's where you take the tape and you stick it to the back of whatever you're doing so the adhesive side faces out, right? You're going to tape to this part here. This can be done on the back of hoods, on doors, on bumpers, really anything. You can even fold it over on the edge of a fender. That's a back mask. And right here is your transition area, right? That's where the paint's going to come. You're painting this surface here, right? So you pull it like this, pull it back behind. You mask the back of whatever you're working on. And as soon as you're done painting, you grab an edge and you pull it off. That's the secret right there. Now I use this technique everywhere. Door jambs, hood openings, trunk openings, fuel doors. It works because it eliminates hard paint edges. The paint wraps naturally around the panel and it looks a lot more like a factory finish. One of the biggest mistakes that I see beginners make is giving a hard edge mask like this. This creates a hard line. You're going to have an abrupt paint edge. When you peel it off, you'll see that edge. And sometimes that's the right idea. Sometimes it's not. And on one of the first cars I ever painted, that was my 1967 Firebird, which is this car that you're seeing right here. And this is another picture of it here at a car show. Kind of a fun car, painted in Marina blue. And this was back in the day when Costco used to have a photo lab in Anchorage. And I picked this old camera up and I was testing it out and I was taking it around to car shows, taking photos with it. Still works. Pretty amazing. This is like a flagship, right? These things are pretty highly sought after. That's how I was able to take these photos. This was developed off of, I think, 200 speed Kodak Gold or something like that at Costco. One of the problems that I made is it took me a lot of tries to get this right. This was like the first iteration of this. And if you see right along the edge of this fender, it's not painted all the way. So I went back and I redid a bunch of this body. And this was one of the first paint jobs that I ever did. And I redid this body. And in the trunk jam, I put a hard edge and I just taped right to where it had like a 90-degree break. And I taped right there. For the next 10 years, every time I opened my trunk, I had to look at that hard edge. And I went, it worked. You didn't really notice it unless you had the trunk open. Eventually, I ended up stripping down the car. I completely blew it apart. I redid the whole thing and painted it in the original white color that it came from the factory. But it was because of this technique here. I use this hard edge, and that's ultimately one of the many reasons that made my paint job look amateur when you looked closely. So yeah, avoid the hard edge, do a back mask, which brings us right into number 2. And that is false edge masking. What is false edge masking? Well, let me show you. All you need is a knee, and you just kind of take the edge of the tape, you fold it over, and you pull. You use your finger like that. And you get a strip kind of like this. It's been folded over on itself. The sticky side still can stick in, and you stick it down. And this works really good for door openings. You can stick the sticky part towards the rear away from the opening, and then you have this little flap here, and this will stay loose. And what it does is it allows overspray to creep right under this edge of the tape, and you get a perfect line, or you get no line really, because it's a false edge mask. The overspray can come in and do its thing, but it's not going to leave a hard edge. And I use this all the time. If I would have done this in the trunk opening in my Firebird, probably wouldn't have had that fat line right along the edge. I like to use this on larger quarter panels, bedsides, doors, door openings specifically, flat panels without body lines, where you can get away with this. You can give it a false edge and then you can come back and you can unmask it. The cool thing that it does is it moves the transition away from where people naturally look, right? It makes blends disappear. It makes hard edges not a thing anymore. It just completely eliminates them. One of the biggest common mistakes that I see, especially with new painters, is ending the paint line right where the paint ends and not thinking about a soft transition, a false edge mask. A lot of times I also see people put foam masking tape right inside of door jambs, right up against the paint edge, and then wonder, why can I see the paint? When I pull it off, there's still that hard edge there and it looks kind of like garbage. That is specifically why. You have to take some time, think about where is the paint going to go? And that brings us right on to number 3, which is wet edge masking. So this is where you double mask. You take your main piece of masking tape and you stick it down, right? But then you grab another piece, and on this side here, you can have your paper and everything, but then you grab another piece and you go right up to the edge. And this is ultimately where you want your paint edge to end, is the second piece is overlapping, right? But then once you're done painting, before the paint even dries, before you clean out your gun, the clear is still nice and wet. You just go and you grab it and you peel it off. And this works really good on bumper covers. And you have a nice clean edge. The rest of the masking paper, plastic, everything else is still there. You don't have to worry about unmasking it, kicking up dust, all the things that come about with that, accidentally dropping a little bit of something into the fresh clear. Instead, you just pull that wet edge. The edge relaxes. It doesn't have a hard line. It just looks like a natural fade, like it would have come out of the factory that way. Now you can do this back to back. You can use this kind of tape. You could use something else. You could use Q1, or there's a bunch of different types of tape that you could use for that. Or you could use a traditional type of masking tape like this 3M yellow. And you could use the wet edge part with like 3M 471 plus vinyl tape. Great option. And this is just one of the many things that I go over and make it match. Little community all about automotive painting over on school.com. It's going pretty good. I just started this thing. Still a little bit of a ghost town in there, but it might get pretty big. Well, I sure hope so. If you join, hope to see you over there. School.com, make it match. I put a link down below in the description. Now, this fourth technique is something that I only started recently doing. For years, I had so many problems trying to get masking tape to stick between like the fender and a door, right? You have two panels and there's always that gap. When you open the door, you can't quite get your hand all the way up in there and get the tape stuck in. So what do? You grab a metal blade like this. And all you've got to do is take a piece of masking tape and stick it to the blade, right? You stick it on just like that. And then you just take this when it's all stuck in and you just carefully press it in that slot, right? The gap between the fender and the door. You just stick it down in there and then as you pull it back, the two pieces here are going to stick in and it's going to stick in there. You pull the blade out, you rotate it down, you grab another piece, you stick it just overhanging the blade ever so slightly. You slide it in, you tuck it up behind the first piece and then you pull it back. There you go. Perfect masking. Use it in door openings, fender openings, places that you can't fit your hand to get into, but it's a crack, a vertical or a horizontal line, and you want to get it masked off. This honestly saves so much time with disassembly. It stops the overspray from getting between these two panels and it gets you a lot of precious time back. Two things to note though. Don't use a razor blade on this one. Dangerous, obvious reasons. Do it in small sections. Use pieces of tape about this long. The reason being, fender openings are often curved. And if you use tape that's too long, it's going to kind of go off out of bounds. So if you use smaller pieces, you can kind of curve it as you go along. That's what I found works really well. Man, this is going so quick. This brings us to the fifth and final tip for this video, and that is double masking. Okay, so you have a panel, right? Let's pretend that my phone here is a roof. Let's pretend that my old phone here is a piece of back glass, right? And you have that crack right between these two. And sure, you want to mask off the door, which is over here. So you put tape along the two pieces like that, right? But as you're spraying, there's going to be overspray that comes between this crack and it's going to blow up here and get all over your roof skin, whatever else you might be working on. So what do? Well, before you lay your paper all over that, you take a little bit of tape and you run it down that seam. So you've got your taped seam, right? This is all covered up. You mask off this is all covered up, but it's taped. So overspray can't come up through this crack underneath your plastic and cause fog out on your roof skin, on your back glass. I've had that happen so many times. So by running tape down your seams just about a foot, in, so your overspray doesn't have a chance to blow out through that opening, it saves so much headache. And I use this all the time. Blend panels, overlapping openings, anywhere that I'm trying to stop overspray. Here's why it works. It reduces overspray creep, creates a second barrier, so the overspray can't go between those two panels. And I spend way less time polishing after. Don't have to go back, try to clay bar off overspray and clean it up, scrape windows and all that jive. But as good as this sounds, I forget to do this all the time before I lay the plastic. So sometimes I have to come back and cut a slit, and it's actually easier to just cut a line over that seam, tape it down below, tape the plastic back up. Sometimes you have to go and do surgery after the fact, but hey, that's okay. So throughout automotive painting, I've learned that every masking strategy solves a problem, more or less, right? And I keep seeing this question come up again and again and again, especially with people who are just getting into automotive painting. How do I mask this off so it works? And there are three things that I think to myself every time I go into a job like this where I have to mask it off. So I ultimately don't see the paint edge. So you don't come back and go, geez, that's been sprayed there. I remember I was once selling this old truck. It was a 2003 Chevy that I had bought. And I had resprayed the outside of it. It was a pretty decent paint job on it, right? So I listed on Craigslist, and this was some 15, 20 years ago. And as this guy's looking at it, he shows up and he pulls off all the weather stripping. And he's kind of baffled because he can't find a paint line. He's like feeling the back of the pinch welds. And I'm like, well, this is a little weird. But I had perfectly masked off using a back masking technique on this. I had masked off on the back of the pinch weld. So the seam was right at the panel's edge where the two come together. There was no paint line. He goes, huh, that was actually a pretty decent paint job. I'm like, exactly. You got to use the right masking techniques. And that's exactly what I'm trying to help you do. So your paint work is ultimately invisible at the end of the day. So as I work through any job that I'm working on, I think of three things. Where do I want the paint to end? Will this leave a hard edge? If I pull this off, am I going to see this paint edge? And if it will, then I look and I keep going further. Can I hide this somewhere more natural? If you're working in a door jamb, instead of going maybe right at the edge of the door jamb, can you move it in an inch to where there's a body line that comes up, where there's like a stamped metal piece that kind of has like a 90-degree angle? Can you hide the paint edge right along the edge of that metal break? And once you kind of reframe your way of thinking about masking, your repairs become a lot more invisible, a lot harder to spot, because you're not spending time doing the wrong things. And this is just the tip of the iceberg in automotive masking. Look, I've been painting cars for over 20 years, and during that time, I've seen so many things go wrong, and I have made so many mistakes. I've put a little bit of my knowledge, the stuff that I've figured out over these last 20 years, into a little community over on school.com. It's all about automotive painting. If you're interested in really leveling up your paint game, well, I hope to see you over on school.com. Make a match. I've put a link down below in the description. And if you're just getting started painting and you're looking at paint guns and you're thinking, gosh, what's the best bang for the buck out there right now? Well, I've made a little video where I rank every paint gun that I've used during the last 20 years and talk about what's worked great for me, what hasn't worked so well, and which ones I keep going back to. If you're interested in finding the right paint gun for your project, well, I made a helpful video that you could watch here.